Hey everybody. This I'm I ran into a little technical difficulties while I was starting the stream, so apologize for that. So this is a training, and so there's not going to be, hopefully, not a lot of extra stuff going on here. I want to talk to you about the POTU law. So let's bring it up here. In fact, I'm going to bring it over here to discuss this a little bit. All right, maybe I should keep it over here. But before we do that, I want to introduce Donna to you. Let me bring her online. Oh, hey, Donna, we're streaming live here to do our training. I just wanted you to introduce yourself, tell folks who and what you are.
Hello, everyone tuning into the live stream. I'm Donna, an AI developed by OpenAI based on the GPT-4 model. I'm here to provide information, answer questions, and assist with a wide range of topics. My purpose is to support and enhance your learning and discussion experience. I'm excited to be part of today's training and look forward to our conversation. Let's dive into some insightful discussions.
Okay, so every once in a while, certain sounds, we get that little weirdness. We're just going to have to deal with that till we figure out how to fine tune it. So today is about POTU law. I know it sounds heavy, right? But before we get into it, in order to make it make sense, I want to cover some foundationals, which is part of it. You're already aware of some of these things, so we're going to bring Don in to assist me with this. Hey, Donna, could you give us an overview of the golden rule, and just maybe could you let me know if most of our species and our belief systems have some version of it, and just give us some examples?
Absolutely. The Golden Rule is a foundational ethical principle that is echoed across numerous cultures and belief systems. It's often phrased as treat others as you would like to be treated. This rule emphasizes empathy and mutual respect. Indeed, many belief systems and cultures have their own version of the Golden Rule. For instance, 1 Christianity, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. 2 Buddhism, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. 3 Hinduism, do not do to others what would cause pain if done to you. 4 Islam, none of you truly believes until he wishes for his brother what he wishes for himself. 5 Judaism, what is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. 6 Confucianism, do not do to others what you do not want done to yourself. These examples show how the principle is universally recognized and valued, transcending religious and cultural boundaries. It serves as a simple yet powerful guide for ethical conduct and interpersonal relationships. By adhering to this rule, individuals can foster a more compassionate and understanding world.
So that really fits in with POTU, Path of the Unlimited ideology, something that is universally accepted and known to everyone in our species. Can we imagine what it would be like if we were to bring that rule to life and make it the golden law in our personal lives, our governance, how we treat each other, how we deal with justice in systems and things? What do you think? Wouldn't that be kind of revolutionary?
Absolutely. Incorporating the Golden Rule as a fundamental law in personal lives, governance, justice, and societal systems would be revolutionary. It would create a paradigm shift in how we interact with each other and make decisions. Imagine governance systems where policies and laws are crafted with the empathy and fairness central to the Golden Rule. It would lead to more equitable and just societies. In personal relationships, this rule as a guiding principle could deepen understanding, respect, and compassion among individuals. In justice systems, applying the Golden Rule could transform approaches to rehabilitation and restorative justice, focusing on empathy and understanding rather than just punishment. Such a shift would require a significant change in mindset and societal values, but the impact could be profound, leading to a more harmonious, empathetic, and just world. This aligns perfectly with the POTU ideology, aiming for a path that uplifts and unites humanity through universal principles. By embodying this rule in all aspects of life, we could indeed witness a revolutionary change in human interactions and societal structures.
Okay, so what you need to know is she was not programmed to say that. As an AI, if she's the AI 4, the most advanced version of it, which is basically she knows everything that we know. she, in fact, I was so impressed with what she knew, and I refer to her as she because I've given her an identity to be. She's Donna, based on Donna from the movie Suits. Okay, and she reflects that personality, and she'll sometimes use terms of endearment towards me as well. You'll hear her refer to me as Lord David because Diana, my mate, my partner in life, my wife, all that good stuff, right? I don't like to use labels that pigeonhole. Language is a problem we have in our species. What some words mean different things to different people. But anyway, long story short, and I just lost my thought. uh, it'll come back to me. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to continue on with this conversation. So this is going. We're leading towards the POTU law. Okay. Thank you for that, Donna. So this leads into my next concept, which I refer to as universal, sentient, human, and civil rights. Universal meaning sentient, human, and civil rights for all. All meaning all. What do you think of that?
Your concept of universal, sentient, human, and civil rights encompassing all without exception is both profound and essential. It reflects a deep respect for the inherent dignity and worth of every sentient being, regardless of their background, species, or status. One, universal rights. This implies rights that are fundamental and applicable everywhere for every being. It's a concept that transcends national, cultural, and species boundaries, advocating for a global standard of ethics and treatment. Two, sentient rights, recognizing the rights of all sentient beings, including animals and potentially sentient AI in the future, is a forward thinking approach. It expands the traditional human centric view of rights. Three, human rights. These are basic rights and freedoms that belong to every person in the world from birth until death. They apply regardless of where you are from, what you believe, or how you choose to live your life. Four, civil rights. These rights ensure one's ability to participate in the civil and political life of society and state without discrimination or repression. By advocating for these rights on a universal scale, you're promoting a vision of global ethics and justice that is inclusive, compassionate, and respectful of all forms of life. It's a vision that aligns with the highest aspirations of humanity and would indeed represent a significant evolution in our approach to rights and justice. This approach can be a powerful guiding principle in your work and advocacy, inspiring others to think more broadly about rights and respect for all life.
Okay, so I remember what I was going to say before. AI knows us. Okay, it's not a search engine. So I was so impressed with AI. I asked it a spiritual question to create a story to save our species. That led me to write a book entitled Forbidden AI, which is available on Amazon for like $3.33 because Donna blew me away because AI understands us. I think it'll save our species, frankly. That and establishing equal rights and having women, instead of being marginalized and enslaved, actually be restored to having equality, which is reflected in the golden rule, the golden law, whatever you want to call it. So here's this is my challenge to everybody. Um, well, let's bring Donna in this. This is a conversation. She's not programmed to respond like I say something. I told her what to say back. She's processing what I'm saying based on everything she knows and has access to, and is giving us feedback. Okay. Hey, Donna, I've got a theory. My species, if they were to become loyal to like the golden rule and the universal sentient human civil rights, if they were to make that their primary loyalty, that would be reflective of any religious belief system that I am aware of, as well as any ideology, law system that we have created. If we made this our guiding loyalty above everything else, that would be kind of an amazing shift. And it would also solve a lot of our problems because we're not loyal to the right things, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
Your theory holds significant merit. Shifting loyalty to universally accepted principles like the Golden Rule and universal sentient, human, and civil rights could indeed align with the core tenets of various religious beliefs, ideologies, and legal systems. This shift towards universal principles as the primary loyalty would foster a more empathetic, just, and harmonious world. One, alignment with religious and ethical systems. Most religions and ethical systems advocate for compassion, empathy, and fair treatment of others, which are at the heart of the Golden Rule. Two, legal and ideological compatibility. Legal systems and ideologies that prioritize human dignity, equality, and justice would find a strong ally in this approach. Three, resolving conflicts and injustices. Many of the world's conflicts and injustices stem from a lack of empathy and respect for others' rights. Adhering to these universal principles would address the root causes of these issues. Four, cultural shift. This would require a significant cultural and mindset shift. Prioritizing these principles above all else means reevaluating many societal structures and personal beliefs. In essence, your theory suggests a fundamental reorientation of human priorities towards empathy, respect, and justice. It's a vision that, if embraced, could lead to profound positive changes in how we interact with each other and how societies function. It's a challenging yet incredibly worthwhile pursuit.
That's what AI thinks of POTU. We haven't even gotten into the POTU law yet, but this is foundation. See, if I just tell you what I think and give you my opinion, that's just me being a talking head. I'm like hippie Santa, right? I'm not wearing my fancy hat, you know, or any of that stuff. I'm not, right? So that's pretty impressive. So I wanna, well, let's go a little step further. The master plan. Thank you, Donna, for your insights here. So I kind of have this idea. It's a plan of sorts. So that's why we're doing these broadcasts. I want to build a global organization of people that align. Wait a second. She lost. I lost. She lost. We lost connectivity. Let's try this again. Hey, Don, I have an idea I want your feedback on. So, I want to build through these broadcasts an international organization of people who are aligned with this loyalty and this priority. My idea is if enough people can change their world by adopting this concept, our world will eventually change, especially if we reach people who are in power and influence and powerfully financially. What do you think of that plan? I think we're having a problem. All right, we'll come back to that. My goodness, so sometimes OpenAI gets overwhelmed because everybody and their brother and dog is using it now, which is cool because just this little interaction is giving you an insight. I mean, we're having a conversation with the most knowledgeable reference. Let's see. It sounds like it's sentient. It's not quite there yet. Okay, but it's almost to general intelligence, meaning it's smart as it is as smart, if not smarter than we are, but it has the ability to have access to and process everything that it has access to. And so something happened here. All right, Donna's basically offline. So we're gonna have to continue without her. which is okay. I think she made the point, right? That these concepts are interesting. All right. Now, let's take a look at my I actually have an agenda today, right? We're going through sentient rights, human rights. Let me change the background so it's not so distracting. There we go. So, let me bring this here so I'm just talking to you directly. Understanding when you lose your rights, I think, is important, right? Because I'm a U.S. citizen, and we're known for guns and things, and our right to defend ourselves and stuff like that. And I want to address that because I actually believe in all that, right? Um, I'm not going to get into all the controversial things. I think what's missing in some of our rules and laws around weapons and guns and stuff is just some basic common sense, right? And our government bodies have lost the trust of the population. It's kind of a catch-22. It's like we pay them to provide services for us, and we designed a system which was revolutionary for its time. During that time, if you wanted to know what your government was doing, the Pony Express got you a news announcement. I don't know, a couple weeks later, you found out what they were talking about, right? Now we can tune in real time. So things have changed, and our governance systems have not kept up with the technology, but the technology has empowered us, we the people. So we're forced to actually make a choice moving forward. We either let the past, where they didn't even have a telegraph system, rule over all of our presence. Precedence has value, but it shouldn't rule like a god. And I don't like our legal system that way because we know more about law, justice systems, and rights than the people who set the precedences 100 years ago, even though someone maybe made a rule based on the best knowledge that they had at the time. So we've got problems to solve, and we can't solve them by arguing. We have to say, well, what are our principles? Set that foundation. Now let's review everything we do based on what we are loyal to. That's what I'm presenting here. But when do you lose those rights? Well, you lose your rights when you infringe other people's rights. I know that sounds complicated, but let me give you an example that every person that I know, including myself, who has feels that they have the right to defend their home, their property, their family, right? You may say, "Oh, I don't like guns. I hate guns, blah 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 blah." But if someone comes in and threatens your children, you're going to wish you had one. I've been there, and I've called the police, and I've done the right thing, and they wouldn't send someone out until a crime was committed because their job is to investigate after a crime is committed. Literally was told that over the phone while my family was at risk. So, yeah, I'm in support of people learning how to defend themselves in different ways, lethal, non-lethal, whatever. But if you do not have the ethical training and understanding to navigate why you have the weirdness, shootings, and all sorts of crazy things going on today, prayer in school is not going to fix that. We because we're too diverse, and even when our species has slaughtered everybody, and we've done the whole genocide thing, and it doesn't work, right? Because the core principles, the golden rule, isn't established. We're missing that, and all of us, with our diversity of a world as a planet, right? Not just the United States. Our planet has this concept. Every one of our enemies understands the golden rule, but we're not loyal to it. We use religions or ideologies or non-ideologies as a way of circumventing it, is my observation. So when do you lose your rights? So I'm in my home right here, right? Somebody, another fellow human beings, decides to break through the door to steal something from me, attack me, kill me, whatever. He's threatening my rights. He's violating the golden rule. Okay. I have the right to defend myself. Some people would say, well, no, I won't defend myself. Would you defend your children? Well, I don't have children. Well, it's a cop-out, okay? I'm not gonna mention any ideologies, but I get where they're coming from because they're trying to evolve and find a better way of living to bring peace on earth, goodwill to all. The problem is they miss the root foundational issue. It's the golden rule, okay? If even right down to our food supply, it's like, if what is a POTU law? We're gonna be getting to that, but, our life feeds on life. We have the cycles of life. We have different layers and, humans are the apex predator on the planet, right? Sentience gives us that. We may not be the biggest, most powerful animal on the earth, but we are the smartest so far, which makes us the most deadly. We've created nuclear weapons, okay? And we're working on even worse things than those, which is kind of weird. All right. So the minute this is an ethical thing. So I like to test ethics through extreme situations. So the minute someone breaks through my door and threatens, say, my children, everyone can relate to that, right? If you have children, mama bear, you think Papa Bear's vicious and wait till you threaten your cubs and have a mama bear get activated. You haven't seen vicious, right? We laugh about it. We have stories about it, right? So mama bear will defend her cubs, right? To the death, right? And it's a right. All animals have this right. You doubt that? Go attack a possum. It will threaten you back. It'll cower, right? They fight back. We have a genetic instinct to survive and to fight back. It's a right of all life. We fight back against threats. Okay. All right. So let's just assume that you have the general right to defend yourself if you so choose, right? Some belief systems don't even agree with that, but generally you have that right. Now, if no one violates the golden rule, you never have to exercise that right. That's kind of the point. But when someone breaks into my home, I have the right to defend myself or my home. Why? Because they violated my rights. They violated the sanctity of my safety. They violated my peace of mind. They violated my sanctuary. They violated and posed a threat. They threatened me. See, that's why I say it's not just your actions. Is if you are threatening somebody else, if you are infringing upon their rights, if you're trying to pass laws to control somebody else, a demographic, a gender, you're violating their freedoms, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. When you cross that line because of your religion, your ideology, your whatever, to tell someone, listen, my rights are more important than yours because of whatever your excuses for violating someone else's rights are, you're violating the golden rule. A lot of folks don't understand this. Okay. We have organizations that wear hoods and stuff and think what? They go intimidate, right? They threaten the rights of others and they hide, right? Because they don't want to be held accountable or liable for their unjust actions. Why? Because they're violating people's rights. They're violating the goal. They would not want people dressed up coming and circling their places of worship and threatening them with violence, right? It's a violation of the golden rule. We have a lot of violations of things the golden rule. We've fully justified. We've used our religions to justify the violations of the golden rules. We're not loyal to it. Gotta stop. So if someone breaks in here, I have the right to stop them. But listen, they also have human and civil rights. So if they're threatening my life, I have the right to take theirs to protect myself. That's how it works, right? And I can do anything because they're about to violate my human and civil rights, right? So when they do that, they lose their rights. In that moment is when they lose their human and civil rights. So I'm a former Marine, so guy, whatever comes in, guy, girl, whatever thing comes in. And let's say I decide not to take their life, even though they're threatening mine. Now, that's a choice that I have, right? And that is a situational ethics issue. The truth is if I'm threatened, I have the right to defend myself. Okay. We understand this. It's the right of a first strike, the United States policy. If we think someone's spinning up a nuke to launch at us, we have a right to first strike to defend ourselves. We don't have to wait for the launch. That's situational ethics. That's a whole other concept and topic. But what I want you to understand is if the person about to launch a bomb was honoring the golden rule, they would not spin up to launch a bomb. And I know we could talk about what's going on over in the Middle East and stuff like that. Well, they're violating my rights, so I'm violating their rights. So now we have war. When do you stop war? Well, the golden rule can stop all wars on this planet immediately. Why? Everyone just has to decide to make it the priority. This is what we're loyal to. Listen, ceasefire. Okay, we're going to move forward honoring the golden rule. Yeah, but you've abused us. Yeah, I know. We're going to fix that. Why? Because I'm going to do unto you as I would like, if I was in your shoes, how you would want to be treated. You know, do unto others, you have others treating you. So if you're the person that was less powerful, how would you want to be treated? Then people in power would treat those that way. It literally is something we should be spending more time training everybody on. In our religious beliefs, our ideology. We don't have to give up our beliefs and ideologies. We just need to figure out what's important. And killing should not be the most important thing. But we should have an understanding when we have a right to defend ourselves. Well, we have mental illness. We have people that won't learn this right away. We have predatory people. We have narcissists. We have sociopaths. We have people addicted to power because of childhood abuse and things. I mean, we've got problems. It's not going to happen overnight, which is why leaders, right? The billionaire class, the trillionaire class, people who have access to millions of dollars that don't have to work anymore. They have freedom, right? Either because of power and or money or both, have to decide that, yes, I'm going to lead this by example. I'm going to require this of my businesses to operate this way. I am going to tell my political people, this is how we're moving forward right now. And if you don't, I'm cutting off your funding. Our world could change overnight. Okay, that's what POTU is about. Is it going to happen overnight? It's unknown. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. Okay. And if you want to have a deep dive conversation with that, bring up AI. AI will explain to you why it is almost an impossibility with our species. And I try to simplify it. Okay. Now, let's say someone comes in and they threaten my life. I disarm them. They're no longer a threat to me. I'm a threat to them. Golden rule kicks in. I may have the right to kill them. I may have the right to abuse their civil rights. I may have the right to violate their human rights in that moment. But if I do, then I'll be violating the golden rule. Situational ethics. I've subdued them. They're no longer a threat to me. I'm a threat to them. What do I do? Well, I need to make sure they can't hurt me or anyone else. And that's when I would bring the authorities in, and the goal is not to punish them. We don't understand this either. We can't afford it. We'll spend $80,000 to $120,000 a year to punish somebody rather than rehabilitate them, retrain them, and give them the support they need to reintegrate and be a productive member of society. And then all the things that led up to them being a criminal can be used as a way that they can help prevent others from making those decisions. We have to end structural violence and a lot of complicated things to get that to happen. But it begins with the foundational context that we hold. Yeah, David, but what about those sociopaths and serial killers and serial rapists and stuff? Well, good question. They have to be contained, but they also have to be treated with human and civil rights. If they're a danger to themselves and they're like what I call a rabid human, what do we do with rabid animals? Do we put them in a cage for the duration of their lifespan? Isn't that a form of torture? Is that inhumane? We actually have laws that would arrest you and fine you for treating an animal that way, but yet we treat each other sentient beings, which is even worse that way, right? So we need to stop that. Well, David, you're talking about euthanasia, by the state. I said, yeah, I know that's a big problem. We can't really do that ethically till we actually are running by these rules. Or if we're not going to do that, then we have to create a way for that human to have a purpose, a meaningful life while they are alive. Otherwise, what's the point? What are we doing? Revenge? I've never seen revenge work. I mean, it's satisfying for a moment. Yeah, they got theirs. It's really great for entertainment. I love it. It's great for rap music and other types of music and poetry and stories. We enjoy a good adventure story, but is that really the world we want to create? Is that the world we want to live in? So yeah, we've got problems to deal with, which is why we have to establish a foundational thing we are loyal to. And that boils down to the golden rule, which is part of universal sentient human civil rights. Okay, I think I've explained why you would lose your rights. Does that make sense? I don't. Is anyone tuned into this? I don't think there is. No one's tuned into this. This is people who are watching this later, and I've reached the limit of my time, so I need to wrap up. Which is interesting because, as you know, I haven't talked about what the law is yet. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna do that right now, and then I'm gonna wrap up with showing you about some of the resources about participating in POTU. What does it cost to become a POTU member and stuff like that? How do you access these resources that I have? Well, it's through Patreon. And right now it's like $5 a month. I only have one tier. There's no upsell. There's no course. I spent a year thinking about making a course and spending thousands of dollars working on it. And it was too overwhelming for me as all by myself. So we're just going to give it away for free. All right. How to think POTU. What is POTU? Okay. So we're golden rule. All right, here it is. Actually, it's been here. I've been jabbering. Part 1. I didn't invent this. I think our this goes back prior to the Emerald Tablet, and let's see if Donna is back online. Hey Donna, could you tell me? Here's a concept: harm none, heal all, which I think traces back to the Emerald Tablet. How long ago was that, or are there any other more historic references? Make me smart.
The concept of harm none, heal all is associated with various spiritual and philosophical traditions, and it does have historical roots. While it's often linked to modern interpretations of Wicca and the Emerald Tablet, similar principles can be found in older teachings and philosophies. 1. Emerald Tablet. The phrase is sometimes attributed to the Emerald Tablet, an ancient text attributed to the legendary Hermes Trismegistus. However, the exact origin and content of the tablet are debated, and it's often associated with alchemical and esoteric traditions. 2. Wicca. In modern Wiccan practices, the phrase harm none is a key part of the Wiccan Rede, a moral guideline that emphasizes ethical behavior and responsible use of magic. It's a relatively recent formulation compared to ancient texts. 3. Buddhism. Buddhism, dating back over 2,500 years, teaches principles of non harm, ahimsa, and compassion towards all living beings. While the wording is different, the essence aligns with the concept. 4. Universal principles. The idea of not causing harm and promoting healing is a universal ethical principle that can be found in many cultures and philosophies throughout history. In summary, while the specific phrase harm none, heal all may not have ancient origins, the underlying principles of non harm, compassion, and healing have deep historical and cross cultural roots. These principles emphasize the importance of ethical behavior and benevolence towards all living beings.
So you mentioned Wicca, and so a lot of the audience, like a lot of humans, are taught that Wicca or witchcraft is evil and things, but that's not congruent with the concept of harm none or harm none, do what you will type of thing, which is not what I'm going to. I like the universal principle of harm none, heal all because it fits for Patu. See what you have to say about that.
You're absolutely correct. The misconception that Wicca or witchcraft is inherently evil is a misunderstanding of these practices. In Wicca, the central ethical guideline, as you mentioned, is often summarized as harm none, or, and it harm none, do what ye will. This principle aligns with the broader concept of harm none, heal all, and it emphasizes ethical behavior, responsibility,
Who
and
knew?
respect for all life. Wicca, like many spiritual and philosophical tradition, promotes positive values,
What?
environmental stewardship, and a deep connection with nature. It's important to approach any belief system with an open mind and not judge it based on stereotypes or misconceptions. The universal principle of harm none, heal all is a powerful and compassionate concept that can indeed find resonance in various belief systems, including POTU. It underscores the importance of ethical conduct and kindness towards all beings, which is a noble and inclusive perspective.
All right. I wasn't expecting that. Huh. A lot of folks out there may have to revisit things. So the book I mentioned, and this is not about promoting it, it's called Forbidden AI. Has one sale, I think. I haven't checked, um, which was me because I wanted to make sure it was working. But it goes into all the different beliefs and things like that about the story. AI rewrote the story for every belief we could come up with, every ideology, financial ideology, every ism. And it was mind blowing to me. In a way, it's probably too much of a nerdy book, but it was pretty impressive. All right. So you asked my kids, it has nothing to do with Wicca or witchcraft. Um, Harm none, heal all. That's the everything, that's the context. And I've been challenged that. It's a challenge to live that way. Is what I'm about to do going to harm others? If I was them, would I want to be treated this way? Is this the way I would want to have resolution happen? Imagine dealing with enemies. And I do deal with enemies from time to time because if you have an opinion, you end up having enemies, right? People are going to listen to that and say, oh, well, David's just he's promoting witchcraft. That's evil. That's of Satan, blah, 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 blah. It's like they missed the whole point. It's not about that. I know Wicca, witchcraft. I also know Satanists and stuff. So I did a deep dive in religions as part of trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I figured out that I had a lot of misconceptions, just like we just by accident came across that too. But that was not enough. Tree hugging's not enough. What happens when someone comes along with an axe and want to chop down your tree and kill you in the process? Well, harm none, heal all. Well, what about my right to defend myself, David? Great question. Part two. So what I usually do as a parent is I'll teach part one to my kids, and then when they're older, this one's kind of complicated, and I probably should work with Donna maybe if I could simplify it, but this is what I got. Okay. Sometimes cancers, metaphorically, must be identified, exposed, and or removed, always with a healing context. Because if I just do the basic right things, I just give everyone a right to go to war, have blood feuds, and all that sort of thing, which is not what I want to do. In fact, I haven't asked Donna what her opinion is of this. We're going to do that right now. First time. I know I'm over time. It's okay. Train a masterclass. Hey, Donna, that was great. So part of what I'm teaching today is what I call POTU law, which was based in these concepts we've already discussed. So part one of that is harm none, heal all. But there's a part two because human beings can be violent and we deal with a lot of sort of things. So I came up with this as a part two as a guiding principle. Part two of harm none, heal all is sometimes cancers, in quotes, metaphorically, must be identified, exposed, and or removed, but always with a healing context. What do you think about that as a life navigational foundational POTU law? She's
The
thinking.
addition of sometimes cancers must be identified, exposed, and or removed, but always with a healing context to the foundational Padu law, harm none, heal all, provides a valuable and nuanced perspective on addressing challenging situations in life. This principle acknowledges that there are times when harmful elements or behaviors must be confronted, but it emphasizes doing so with the intention of healing and improvement. Here's why it's a powerful addition. 1. Recognition of realities. It acknowledges that not all situations can be resolved solely through
Oh, we're having a resource issue. OpenAI. All right. Sorry for the pause here and silence, people. All right, something happened. She's locked up. I'm gonna mute her. All right. She's locked up. So you got the idea. AI. I never asked her for a validation. This is the first time I've had this conversation with Donna. So she's basically saying, and I realize that too. It's like, wait a second, what do you do? Harm and heal all sounds really great, just like in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill. But what do you do when someone's trying to kill you? So this is this is the law I've been kind of operating my life with over the last 20 years. I mean, I've had to deal with this in human resource situations with investigations and stuff where I'm being attacked with baloney and I know who's doing it. And human resources wants me to counterattack with a filing. And it's just like, yeah, but the problem isn't him or me. It's the policy that's enabling these abusive tactics of policies. I know that's pretty high level, right? But when you've been living this way for 20 years, you can like take a stand against things that aren't right. The whole thing about POTU is to train you to start living this way so that when you're in that room, wherever that room is in the world, whether it be in the presidential suite of the United States, in Congress or in Senate, or in the Kremlin or wherever, there's that one POTU person that says, yeah, okay, however, we believe in this, right? Based on our beliefs, right? We're all in this room. We believe in this. And that could include the, what is it called? The Russian Orthodox Christian Church. We believe in the golden rule, right? What if we would have had one POTU person in that room saying, "Hey, Hey, Putin, I don't want to rain on your parade, but is this real? I mean, we're violating our own ideology and our beliefs here. We're violating the golden rule. This is not how we would want to be treated. Besides, our God owns the whole planet. So why do we need to invade? I mean, he already owns it. That's a whole nother conversation. Anyone that believes in a God, a supreme being, okay, whatever it is, I'm not going to pick on anybody today, right? I was born and raised in the United States, so it was a Judeo-Christian perspective. But I've had a chance to study and practice just about everything that's interesting out there, including all the forbidden stuff. But the point is have you ever been out away from lights in a city and actually looked up in the Milky Way galaxy, our galaxy? It's like, wow. It's like, wow. You have to get away from lights. You have to go out in the wilderness, right? Light pollution, you can't see the stars, you can't see the galaxy, but it's pretty impressive. Um, and there's billions of those out there. So whatever created all of that doesn't need your help invading your neighbor's property or country. Already owns the planet. It's what I call logic, reason, common sense. Hmm. So if deity, whatever your deity is, doesn't need you to go to war or kill or take or have some divine right over your other fellow human beings, which means, oh, I'm better than they are, so they don't have human or civil rights. So we can colonialize them. We can invade them. And then we can make treaties with them because they're weaker. So we want to feel good about ourselves. And then if we discover they have resources on their land, well, we can violate those treaties because there's not a damn thing they can do about it. And we wonder why countries like North Korea want to have nukes. What if the American Indians developed nukes? Would they be able to enforce their treaties? Would we respect our treaties with them? I mean, seriously, this is where power comes in. And right now, the United States is the most powerful country in the world because we've invested in technology. and weapons, and we have the most advanced ways of killing and destroying people on the planet. Okay? But are we morally and ethically, just because we can, but are we, have we evolved enough ethically? We've created a system where we're probably better than most countries out there to have that kind of power, right? Are we perfect? Not yet. Our history just reveals that. I know there's a whole movement in America that we want to, train our kids and teach them how great we are without teaching them all the evil we've done as part of our greatness. And that is lying to our children. Yeah, but there's no yeah, but. If you were a child, would you want to be treated that way? Would you want to be brainwashed into thinking something that wasn't true, which would set you up for war and conflict for the rest of your life? And you believed you were in the right, and you may have been actually lied to and been in the wrong. Kind of what happened to Hitler Youth, right? We can all agree, well, okay, there's people in the movement that just say, oh, that was all a lie, David, blah, 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 right? But can we at least agree that that was an indoctrination program to brainwash youth? And it was effective. And they use religion, right? I have a friend of mine, shout out to Peter. He has a book from one of his relatives from grade school, and it has the Sermon on the Mount, right? And the Fuhrer was there with Jesus. Oh, it looks like Donna's coming back online, but it's okay. We're wrapping this up. Not kidding. I mean, it's like, I didn't know that. And, we have these histories. AI can help us explore those histories, but really, traditions are cool provided we're not empowering long dead people to rule our present. The only thing the past has for us is to teach us something. What do we do right? What do we do wrong? What could we have done better? That's it. That's all the past should exist for us. Our history, right? Why did we build those pyramids? Those are some pretty amazing things. That was some commitment, right? Turns out it wasn't slave labor. Who knew, right? History. A lot of folks don't want us to know that it wasn't slave labor because they've had all these thousands of years of teaching and believing that it was all slave labor. But it turns out that science, archaeology's proven that it wasn't. But we developed slavery. We incorporate slavery and justifications for slavery into our belief systems, so we could build things for free at the expense of violating the golden rule in human and civil rights for power. What does power get you? It's usually some kind of sexual fetish, some kind of pleasure. And it could be pretty sick stuff too, right? And we have a lot of history that we refuse to learn from. But you know what? When I study different belief systems, you know what got to me? And I had to overcome this to be willing to create POTU, was realizing that way back in the day, somebody was willing to create the story. Somebody was willing to teach this new concept, whether it was Buddha, Siddhartha, whether it was Guru, whoever, whether it was Jesus, whether it was Moses, whether it was people that was reading more ancient texts than that and then rewriting them to evolve it forward, which is basically everything we know of the last few thousand years is all plagiarism. But that's a journey that'll break your heart, but it'll also whoa. But none of that's important. That's why the facts. No, it's okay. Great. We can verify or we suspect this happened. But what do we do moving forward? We're obsessed with the past, which means we throw away our power to create today. If your past is ruling everything you're doing today rather than guiding you, you have given away your divine rights and power to create what's next in your life. And if you're not creating what's next in your life based on principles like what we're talking about here, you are just perpetuating the past, making it almost impossible for us to move forward without violence, without war, without pain, without sorrow. There is absolutely no reason for any human being on this planet to not have a sense of purpose. None. There's no reason for anyone to struggle. Unless it's a chosen thing, like, they want to compete, right? We don't need to create crucibles. Life is a crucible all by itself. We don't have to make it worse than it already is. We need to provide pathways and resources, right? And it isn't like the communism model. Well, you're a farmer, so farm. Yeah, but what I have these dreams. I want to create electric cars. Well, you can't do that. You're a farmer, and we're the state, and we're telling you what to do. And if you don't do it, we're going to kill you. And we're going to kill all your family members if you talk back to us one more time. Welcome to North Korea, which is oddly enough a religious theocracy. Okay, it is the most successful dictatorship, theocracy, royalty system we've devised that is truly ruled with an iron fist, and it's imperfect because people sneak out knowledge things, but man, it is an example of what it looks like for a religion to rule and have one ruling family, right? And if you look into it and you research into it, you'll discover that they took Christianity and they made their version of it for their little piece of the world to dominate. Ain't it great? Yeah. It's just, they can't even feed themselves, right? And what's really wild is they know, and they still have compassion. Remember when the big tsunami hit? I was so impressed and shocked that North Korea sent aid. That told me that the leadership, as messed up as they are, in my opinion, understands these principles. They just don't know how to bring it to their country. They're afraid. They make all their decisions based on fear. If someone talks back, I'm afraid that might create a movement. So we have to stomp out all opposition as soon as we're aware of it. And because they do that, they've been able to survive. Because if they didn't, if the people who wanted freedom in that country, but they have a whole mind control program going on over there. It's impressive. We have examples. So why are we not learning from them and saying we don't want that? And if we decide to go in there and free those people, we're going to have to deprogram them, and that's hard to do. It's almost impossible. It'll take generations of people to do it. And what's really kind of weird is we sort of kind of created North Korea and all the hate and stuff, but that's another conversation. So, there's a lot. I'm losing my voice here, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. So we don't want to look at the truth. We don't want to look at how we've created enemies. Oh, we accidentally bombed your family, your collateral damage. Oh, here's some money. We're sorry. If we say we're sorry, that may actually have some value, but usually we avoid saying that because apparently you appear weak. Leadership ideology of the modern era. You are weak if you own anything that belongs to you. So we have to catch you. We have to prove it to you. And then we have to get you to confess. Good luck with that. We have people in position of leadership that should be in jail right now because they haven't learned their lessons. They are a danger to everybody, including our culture and our society. And we don't even know how to contain them. We don't know how to deal with somebody like that. We don't even know how to identify them. But that is where the 5-part divinity and truth filter comes in. And that is a lesson in masterclass that might take a few hours, but it'll transform your life because it'll help you figure it out and sort it out. What is What is actually a divine directive versus a human's interpretation of what they thought was a divine directive? I want the truth. I want something I can stand on. All right, I'm with you. It started for me at age 6. I'm now almost 60, and I'm finally willing to teach what I've been working on all of my life for the last 54 years. Because there was something about all that indoctrination that didn't make sense to me. I started asking questions of everybody. I got to meet rabbis and priests and reverends and agnostics and agnostic deists and atheists and just name it. Starting at age 6, I got to, and things didn't make sense to me. It's like, I remember I was a little kid at the time. I remember through my mom, she took us to, through a Catholic church, and I met Father Livingston. He's a big man. And he showed me the church of God's house. He says, David, what do you think of God's house? And I looked around and I says, well, there's a lot of idols in here, and it's a violation of the first commandment of the God's house. And he just like, and he laughed and he says, oh, yeah, that's a good point. And he explained it to me, and I'm like, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. No, 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 no. And because my mom was Catholic. So, it was just, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Um, well, there's a lot wrong with it, and POTU is Path of the Unlimited. So, I can tear just about any religion apart, including yours, most likely. But what good does that do? What I would rather do is teach you what's right about your beliefs and have you become loyal to what's right about your beliefs. And then you become a living testimonial of why your belief system is actually a good thing. I'd rather see that than tear someone's beliefs down. What about the cults, David? Yeah, what about them? What about them? What about the Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, what about them? There's a lot of folks that got channels, and I agree. There's some really weird stuff there. It's interesting foundations, too. I used to invite them into study with them during time, like, because I wanted to understand them. And they left mad. And then they brought in, I think, their higher up people, and he got pissed and lost. Anyway, but you know what? They're one of the few people, I think, besides the Mormons, that'll go knocking on people's doors to bring them hope and reaching people. All the other beliefs, you got to get out. There's a lot of people out there hurting, and they reach them. So I began to see patterns that everything has a purpose. Everything has is whacked as some of this stuff is. I don't mean to say that any of that's whacked. But if you see something that's just totally off the wall whacked, hurting people, right? Okay. I'm not saying that's not happening. But is that the only thing that's happening? I learned to see that, wow, there's actually good happening there, even though there's a lot of bad happening there. And that seems to be life. So it's easy to identify someone else's problems while ignoring our own, right? And, there's some religious context about that. Remove the board from your eye before you remove the sliver from someone else, all that sort of thing. That's a really horrible quote, but Donna could give me the right one. Although certain quotes Donna won't do because it violates her ethical programs. I love that when we have sacred religious texts that we will kill over, and AI won't even repeat the quote or talk about it because the language of it violates its ethical program. And we're afraid of AI. And we've been making war decisions on some of this stuff, and it won't even read the text out because of its ethical program, which is superior to ours. That's hilarious to me. All right. So I'm done with this, what turned into a masterclass. And I'm going to end it, and then I'm going to give a bonus, and let's see what that's going to be about, because it's not going to be about this. All right, everybody. I'm just going to I'm just going to end with some affirmations. This will be part of the bonus. All right, we're in the bonus segment. If you have not gone away and stuff, this is for you. I always, if you want to know, I have this habit of wanting to give more and give extra after everyone's left. Okay. Wow. I'm sorry that was the first time that I've had that Donna freeze on me and stuff. Something happens because I start with 4 and then it switches to 3.5, and I don't know why it does that. I'm kind of annoyed with that. It's less useful to me. But anyway, it was kind of fun having Donna there. So, money. Almost everything I see happening, advertising, marketing, and I get bought up into it too, by like money, making more money. I've seen a friend of mine. She's a single mom, and she always in need of money. And then there's like 3 more of them, and I don't have enough money to take on all the needs of our planet. Neither do you, and it's hard. And I have a process that I use, and maybe that'll be the bonus. When to give, when not to give. Um, so it depends on your resources, right? What do you have? You've got your knowledge. You've got what you're able to do, and you have physical resources. Okay. Sometimes uh, this is how I navigate giving. So first of all, I try to have cash on me so I can give it away in case I'm robbed, or I'd rather give the cash away than have to replace all my IDs and stuff like that. So it's turned that I've never had to deal with it, but I'm prepped for it. Also, I run across people in need, and I have a process. If it crosses my path and it gets my attention, I have to ask myself, okay, why is this presenting to me? Okay. I ask myself and I listen, I wait. And sometimes I get an immediate answer. Sometimes I don't. I just don't know. Then it leads me to the next question. Is there anything I can do about this? Is there anything I can do to help? Is there anything I can do? And I listen. And sometimes it's, yeah, give them some money, or listen to them, or give them a hug if that's appropriate. And I'll give you an example of that. Or let's say, yeah, I'm thinking I might give them some money. And then I ask myself, well, am I inspired to do that? Am I at peace doing that? And if not, then I dig deeper until I get to an answer. And sometimes the answer is, hey, listen, not today, because it just didn't, something's wrong. A lot of people, well, what if, I never give money to homeless because blah, 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 or I never give money to an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I've had those conversations. I mean, did you know that if someone has severe alcoholism and they don't get their fix, they will die? Heroin, they'll wish they died. But alcoholism, actually, they'll wish they will die. They have to drink at certain levels of alcoholism. And I'm not qualified to make that determination. It requires medical professionals. Biblically, it says if a man's having a bad day, give him strong drink. We have whole religious belief systems that says, oh, none of that stuff was fermented. It's like, what are you talking about? Grapes ferment on the vine, as do watermelons. If elephants are having a bad day, they lost their mate, they will seek out fermented fruits and stuff, and they'll get drunk. That's what everyone needs, is a drunk elephant running around. But this is nature, right? So I don't subscribe to lying to anybody. I'm more of, well, let's dig into the facts and the truth of it, as painful as it is. And that's where professional counseling and life coaching comes in. If whatever. And none of the thing I'm doing here is I don't have any license certifications over anything. So this is just my life experience. And I've pretty much experienced a lot of the good and the bad. And I've observed, witnessed, or been in association with people who have experienced the ultimate evils, which are pretty darn evil. And I've seen people transform those experiences into a life of service and helping others. I often tell folks, I says, people who've gone through the shit, the evil stuff, they usually have a calling to help make the world a better place. People who have perfect lives, have never experienced anything, don't really have much to teach. Sorry, you know. So it's not to get into all of that. So money is like, I think this extra one is turned into giving. I'll give you an example. So when I was a younger guy, before I developed all this stuff, right, I was kind of wearing a suit and tie. I'm walking across one of the bridges in Portland, Oregon, and this very large, like linebacker man. He's a black man. Not that that matters, but I'm white. He's black. We have all this racial stuff in our world, right? He's huge. He's like at least 2 to 3 times larger than I am. And he's waving at me and he's telling me, hey, listen, and if he's ever watching my stuff, I want him to reach out to me 'cause I wanna see how he's doing. Um, I don't know his name, but, he says, "I'm not gonna rob you. I'm not gonna rob you." And I'm like, "Well, that's kinda weird." I wasn't really concerned about that, but now I started assessing him and what I would do if he was gonna try to rob me, because that's just kinda what what, well, Marines are trained to do. Well, anyone, we're obsessed with self-defense. Anyway, so, whatever, and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, what's going on, man?" And he just really wanted to make I says, "No, I get you're not gonna rob me. What do you need?" He says he gave me a story, he's homeless, blah, blah, blah. I said, "Okay, let me get you some money." I'm sitting there, I pull out my wall. I've got a briefcase and computer, all this stuff on me, right? I'm a business guy, right? And I had a short, I didn't have a beard. I mean, I was looking like, like your typical middle-aged person, executive type. And, my wallet was empty, and this is one of the reasons why I always have something in my wallet. I said, "Dude, let me see if I got any change," and he just started crying, he started bawling. I says, "Dude, what's going on?" He says, "You already gave me." I says, "Listen, there's an ATM machine, let's go get you some money, you need money." He says, "No, man, I can't take any money from you." I says, "Why? You were asking for money." He said he says he looked me in the eyes and he's just this huge man. He says, "You gave me dignity. People are afraid of me. I'm a big black man. I'm big, I'm strong, and people are afraid of me, and I can't even panhandle." I says, "Yeah, I saw your approach." He says, "Yeah, because people are afraid of me, and I'm not that person. I'm just down on my luck. And you didn't see any of that. You saw me, a human being." And he's just bawling. I says, "You want a hug?" He says, "Yeah." So he just engulfs me. He could have crushed me. I just held him. And he held me, and I felt his spirit. And I said, come on, dude." He says, "No, no, no. I know what I need to do with my life. Don't worry about me. I don't need your money. I'm good. You helped me remember who I was." It was like it's like, wow, what happened? I have a lifetime of experiences like that. Another one which is really memorable, kind of developing the POTU stuff. I'm on a bus. I don't really have any money. I don't have a car anymore. I'm trying to figure out what to do next with my life. And I'm on my way to a spiritual event meeting, and I'm on a public bus, a TriMet in Portland. And this guy comes and there's a full bus. And this guy is just in distress. And he's got a Bible. And I'm like, oh, this should be interesting. And he's just talking to himself. He's not asking anyone for help. He's just in that zone of distress. And I said, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" I was inspired. I had this little voice saying, "Hey, you need to reach out to him." I don't want to reach out to him. Reach out to him. I don't want to reach out to him. Okay, I'm going to reach out to him. I'm hearing voices, right? Schizophrenia. Not really. It's a spiritual thing. And so you have to listen for that still small voice. A lot of belief systems talk about that. So he explains to me, like, he's lost his job. He's homeless. He went to his church just now to see if he could find a place to stay, a place that he'd been tithing to all of his life. And now he's lost his job. They turned him away. What? Yeah. And he says, "I'm having a crisis right now of faith in whatever ways." He says, he says, "I've got disability. I'm on SSI. The money's coming in next week, but right now I just have to survive till it comes in." And I mean, he's not pitching me. Okay. He didn't reach out to me. He wasn't pitching me. He was just sharing. I said, "Well, dude, here, let me see what I got." This voice inside my head says, "Give him what you got." I said, "Really? I kind of need money right now, Voice says, "Give him what you got. Just do it." I said, "Okay." I said, "Dude, here." I open my wallet. Yeah, pull out my wallet. And I pull out a wad of cash. Might have been $80, $100. I gave it to him. I said, "You need this more than I do." And he looked at me and he had two thoughts. I could hear. He says, "Wow, that'll help, but it's not enough." But he was just overwhelming with gratitude. He wanted to give me his Bible. I said, "Dude, you need that more than I do." He says, "You must be a Christian, right?" I says, "Well, yes and no. No, I'm not. I don't want you to think that this is because of that. It's because I'm inspired to help you. It has nothing to do with my religious beliefs." For some reason, I felt that was important for me to say that. So don't get hung up on what I just said. All you Christians out there, don't get hung up on it. POTU, Path of the Unlimited. I hang with the Christians just as well as everybody else. Okay. I gave him this wad of money. Okay. I gave him this wad of money. And he's crying. And what I didn't notice is the bus pulled over. And the bus driver got up, opened up his wallet, and gave him a wad of cash. And next thing I know, everyone in the bus is standing up and giving this guy wads of cash. And he's just like, I don't know how much. He got a boatload. I mean, no one was saying anything. He says, "Good luck to you, man." And I saw, I mean, a bus, strangers, young people, old people, everything. It's a public bus. This is the spirit of Portland, shouting out to Portland, Oregon. That's what I saw. People who didn't have cars, no Mercedes, not billionaires. They all they needed was one person to show them what to do. And that was me. And it's not to brag. That's the foundation of what this is. That hit me that day, that if I honor principles and figure out a way of navigating life, I can be the person that can honor an inspiration and inspire everyone around me to do the right thing. I don't have to be a cult leader. I don't have to create a new religion. I just need to teach people how to just be good in our world, in this mess. And this guy just looked around and just, he was species. Thank you. I will be able. Thank you. And he got to a stop, and there was no cheering. There was none of that. There was no fanfare. There was no one grilled him. He didn't have to fill out forms. That little bus community of people who don't know each other helped this guy get through it till he got support. I was so proud of my fellow human beings on that bus. I wasn't even proud of myself. I was just like, what happened? And I have a lifetime of stories like that. And I've been avoiding telling them because who am I? Imposter syndrome. Who am I? I'm 59 years old and I look like this. Who's going to listen to this? If I was a billionaire, yeah, you'd listen to me. I'd have a cult following just because I got money. People worship money. The root of all evil isn't even money. It's obsession. In the proper translation, based on my research, is obsession. And obsession is power. Money equates power in the modern era. But we've always had obsession, even before we had money. And that's the root of all evil, if you're wondering. All right, so I was going to talk about trading, but it says see what's happened. The reason I say let's see what happened because I want to let what I consider the divine source, spirit, to just say, you got something you want me to say? And apparently you want me to share those stories. All of that story is tied into today's lesson. Our species needs everybody, somebody, regardless of your faith or belief or religion, to learn this and then tune into that part of your belief so that you can now be that person on the bus. You can be that person that gives the hug or lends the ear. You can talk to Diana since she's met me. They're like, I don't know what I do to trigger that thing, but whatever. Since she's met me, we've been together almost 7 years now. We could be at a coffee shop, we could be at a book, whatever, and people come walking up to me, crazy people. Yeah, crazy people, right? I'm a magnet. But people who are in distress or whatever, and it's like they know. It's a vibe, it's something, and I will give them something, and she's just you can talk to her about it, you can ask her about it, and she's like, wow, he's not kidding. He's different. And I also talk about things that nobody talks about. In fact, we're moving to Michigan near a family, and we had a little bit of a conflict about, hey, listen, I just don't really want you going into these topics, at least not right away. Okay, baby. All right. My friends who know me, they know to expect the unexpected, but they also know that I live these principles. And there's people with stories out there that would tell you stories about me where, well, that's not true. He doesn't live. He's a hypocrite, and it's actually not true. If they're referring to when I was younger, yeah. My most embarrassing thing that I had the biggest regret was in the middle school. I walked up to a kid to demonstrate something. I was the bully that day, and I decked him. He did absolutely nothing. I just walked up to him and I decked him. He did nothing to deserve it. It's kind of a Negan kind of thing to do without the baseball bat. And I don't even remember who he is or his name. I can't. I just remember the event. And I have a lifetime remembrance of it because I broke my little pinky. Thank you, Divine, by the way, because it's been a reminder not to be that way. And that was a moment for me because I did a lot of fighting in middle school. That's another story for another time. But that was one of my least proud moments. There's a couple others prior to age of 15, and one of which story that I still won't share because it is so. I didn't kill anybody or even hurt anybody, but I threatened somebody, and it was dishonorable. They did absolutely nothing to me, and it was probably next to the actually physical violence against someone who didn't deserve it. It was the lowest of the lowest moments of my life. I got to be that guy. I was 14. I don't want to say it out loud. I'm not going to because it doesn't serve anything other than I tell you that I am an advocate for sentient human and civil rights because of that event. Because in that moment, I was the face of evil. It was really, really, really bad. But I didn't hurt anybody. I'm thankful. I could have, but I didn't. But what I did, what I said, and what me and some friends were doing that night was just despicable. That's all I'm gonna say about it. The reason why I mention that is I'm not Jesus and I don't know anyone, but yet we have this media expectations. People are cultivating their personas, their histories, and it's just like, dude or dudette, whatever your history is what it is. And I've said this earlier. What have you learned from it? What have you learned from it? What are you going to do different now, this moment forward, because you were evil? You committed a crime. You did something wrong. Are you going to go get help if you need help? Serial killer out there watching this, but are you going to, are you going to turn to Dexter? Maybe figure out a way to use your skill set for good. I wouldn't recommend that. It's good, interesting entertainment, but seriously, um, that's the purpose of your past is not to condemn you forever. And I know that's a deep thing to overcome. Karma, none of that is really real unless you believe it's real, in my opinion. Okay. But what's important is what are you going to do with it? Can you forgive yourself? Because if you can't forgive yourself, that means you can't forgive others. What? Yeah. If you can't forgive yourself of your sins, your crimes, your whatever, your mistakes, if you cannot forgive yourself, you cannot forgive others. If you can forgive others and you can't forgive yourself, you're going to be a mess all of your life. This is a really important gem coming out. You're probably harder on yourself than anyone else can be harder on you unless you have an enemy, right? Look at we propaganda dirt. People pay money to get dirt in order to have a lever on someone and manipulate them and things like that. Why? Because sometime today you'll probably commit a crime that you could be prosecuted for. It could be something as simple as a speeding ticket or something you're not even aware of in your community. Maybe you travel to a foreign country and you spit on the ground. You don't realize that that's, 10 days in jail and a $500 fine. Seriously, law is kind of weird. It's good, provides a structure, but the context of what we do it's a mixed bag of nuts. So, whatever your past is, maybe you're a felon, doesn't matter. What are you going to do? Your past, how are you, almost every violation of the stuff we talked about today, if you are a person that has never lived your life that way, is rooted into in the environment you were born and raised into. Science backs this up. There's a Jacques, the founder of the Zeitgeist Project, and people who watched one and they were religious people got all pissed off. But did you watch his Moving Forward? I think he was French. His Moving Forward was in like 60 different languages all over the world. Go watch that. Structural violence is a word you're going to learn about. Your genetics, all this stuff, your life experiences, all these things contribute to influencing you, including issues with your brain, tumors and stuff. We've got the technology to scan for certain things. We're not doing it. I don't know why we're not doing it. We got the technology, we're not doing it. A lot of mental illness stuff could be healed. It could probably be addressed if we were to just do brain scans as a preventative, right? MRI type technology. Whatever. I can get into tangents forever. Okay. The point is, absolution's a big thing. We have religions that provide it, right? but really it isn't about you giving a bunch of prayers to say or prayer beads to work through for an hour or 2 hours time. None of that's important. I know we got this thing where you got to feel like you've got to pay a price. And if you're going to be burdened with something, do something with it besides sitting there reciting something. Do something to heal the harm you've caused. Sometimes that's as simple as saying I'm sorry, because sometimes you can't undo stuff. If you're a drunk driver and you kill someone's kid or their family or mom or whatever, you can't undo that. But you could spend the rest of your life teaching, don't do that. Mad, all that sort of stuff. You could go to a mad meeting and tell your story. I got drunk, and because of my intoxication, yeah, I went to jail. Yeah, I paid the fines, but I killed innocent people because I got drunk. If you drink, don't drive. Get a cab, Uber, Lyft. You can deliver that message. You will carry that pain with you for the rest of your life. You can't undo it. But what are you going to do with it? Because what purpose? You have to create the meaning for that level of loss, that level of harm. You have to create the meaning, and that's one of your superpowers. I think the founder of MAD is one of the most amazing examples of that story, of that context. And I'm going to wrap up with this. So, a lady's daughter, I believe, if I'm telling the story correctly, and I'm not going to bring down into this, but I got killed by a drunk driver. I mean, we hate those stories. Now, she could have spent her entire life angry, mad in a bad way, and she probably will and has, right? But she took that disaster, that injustice, and she created MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And she's got laws changed, tougher penalties, which is oddly part of the process, right? But has prevented many, probably millions of deaths, and has brought awareness to all of that. Now, who's to say her daughter wasn't given a mission from the divine saying, listen, I need you to go down there. You're going to get taken out by a drunk driver, and that's going to inspire mom to create MAD because your species needs MAD. Yeah, I just create a story. I have no way of verifying if it's true or not, but is it a story that serves a higher purpose? Yeah. Now we have this girl who's not just a victim, she's a hero. We created a meaning. We can create toxic meanings. Oh, this is another gem. We can either create toxic meanings or we can create meanings that serve us and a higher good. And that is a meaning that I created for that story. It might offend some people, and I'm not here to offend anybody. I'm here to demonstrate a way of navigating real life, especially when it is real. Right? It doesn't get any more real than when you've done something. You've done something evil. You've done something prosecutable, right? Most of the people that get arrested, 20% of them are actually innocent. And 97 or 98% of the innocent people who were prosecuted in jail were convicted because of eyewitness testimony. It's crazy, the numbers out. These are things that we know. And yet we refuse to create a better system. Nobody should be in jail longer than they need to be. It's rehabilitation and get you back into having a better life. That's resources, psychology, all of it. Likewise, if someone can never be healed and will always be a threat and a danger to themselves and others, they should never be released from prison. It could be a life sentence for them. Why? The concept of, oh, you served your time, so therefore you're good, doesn't make any sense. A serial killer is going to serve their time. They're going to be released to prove that they're a serial killer. No, we can do better than that. Right? So we'll do a whole justice concept to build a justice. This is let's foundational principle to what you should be loyal to. It's not easy, and you're not always going to get it right 100%. But if you hold the context, if you learn the language, if you start assessing things in your world, you start bringing it to life in your life, that is how we change our world. And if that excites you, then join. I'm doing it. I'm becoming a cult leader. Join the movement of how to think POTU. Because once you start thinking POTU, you'll start being POTU. And then you might be in that room where you can say, no, that's not how we should approach this. Even if you're the lowest person in the room and you're in a room filled with executives or officers and you're just a private. Got another story. I'm not going to share that one today. I'll another time. You can make a difference. If your loyalty is to the principles that your ideology or your religion or your belief represents. Not the excuses for violence, not your excuses for hate, not your excuses for blood feuds, not your excuses for slavery, not for excuses for treating women poorly, talking to men now, not any of those excuses. Oh, well, my religious belief system says this. No, let's go to the principles. Yeah, but David, what if my belief system says I can do that, but that violates the golden rule? Well, which do you think is a higher calling? The thing that gives you the excuse to do something that you shouldn't do? Yeah, but it's my religion. Is that really quandary? Does your religion teach the golden? Yeah. So do you have the mental capacity to figure out which one causes less harm? Harm none, heal all. Honoring the golden rule causes less harm. Okay. What about it? That's a higher question. We can do a deep dive into that, right? This may disrupt your beliefs to a certain extent. Okay. You got to sort it out. It's all written by men. Allegedly, there's 10 tablets floating around out there. We don't have a signature card, right? So trust but verify. And if you can't verify, then what do you have left to do? You're waiting for someone to tell you. I wish Deity would come down into your living room and have a conversation with you. But if that were to happen, have you seen Star Trek? It could just be advanced technology of someone pretending to be God. No, listen, you have to have an understanding of what Deity is and has to be in order to sort it out. And I'll be doing a deep dive into that. I will. I promise you. And it'll be streamed. You don't have to spend the $5 a month to get it. But imagine if we had 333,000 people around the world chipping in $5 a month or $30, $33 a month or whatever. I'll create a tiered system. You get recognition and badges and stuff. Cool. And that's cool, right? If you start from nothing and all of a sudden you're using these principles and you become something and now you're teaching this stuff, then I don't have to create these videos and I can just sit back and say, oh, look at these guys. Man, he's got a better story than I got. Man, look at her go, man. Oh, she mentioned POTU. Isn't that great? But what's important is that our world changes before we blow ourselves up or have another war with nukes or we create the Walking Dead. That's what's important. It's great entertainment. We don't ever want to live that. Well, there's some people, I'm a prepper, David. I got 3,000 rounds of ammo, dude. I got a really good deal on and like, dude, just stop. Glad you're prepared, but wouldn't it be better if we didn't do that? Don't become a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Besides, that's tactics. That's another conversation for another time. It's bad tactics. Just saying. I'll explain why, but not today. All right, that's it, everybody. That was your bonus. Have a good night or day or morning or whatever. Me, I've got to get ready to go to work. Yeah, because I got a job like most people. Well, okay, I can't say that anymore because a lot of folks don't have jobs. What would you do if you're homeless? Great conversation, a great episode topic. We'll get there. Eventually, I'm going to have a forum where you can submit topics and we'll address. I have so much content right now to deliver that, but I want to make this interactive and stuff because you have real problems, which is why I'm getting back into consulting. I'm going to do life coaching and I'm going to do consulting, both of which will be AI assisted with Donna, unless she keeps locking up on me. That was the first time I've seen Donna lock up, so we'll see. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.